Edna Lewis returned to New York City, so I had to return to New York as well. After almost 3 years in Charleston, Gage Tollner, a restaurant in downtown Brooklyn, called Miss Lewis and offered her the job of executive chef. The restaurant had been open for more than 100 years, and only a chef of her standing, 72 years old, a stellar reputation, could match such a storied institution. Today, Gage Tollner sparkles after a beautiful restoration. It's a place for comforting meals and for celebrations, and some of Miss Lewis's dishes are still on the menu. I met my friend Nicole Taylor there. She's a cookbook author and chose Gage Tollner for her latest book launch party. We chatted in the private dining room, which just so happens to be named for Edna Lewis, and we had a meal in her honor.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Stunning.
Enjoy.
I always knew that this was a spot that Miss Lewis gave the world more of herself, right? So coming here is always, even though I may not say it when I'm coming with other folks, like, oh my gosh, this place is inspirational. It's always in the back of my mind. Always, always.
Have you tried to cook any of her recipes? Have you?
Of course.
So talk about that, because I'm dying to hear what you've cooked and how that went.
The Taste of Country Cooking is one of my favorites, but I also like the book that she did with Scott Peacock later in life. She has a cornbread dressing with pecans. It's amazing. It's just the way that she organized things. The way she organized her cookbooks really speak to me around seasonality, around connecting back to Virginia. She laid out a blueprint.
We have her cookbooks, but there's so little of her voice, her audibly, that you hear, or seeing her on video. And so you kind of have to put together this picture of who this woman was in this time.
There's one video of her that is later in life.
Yeah.
She looks great. She's beautiful. Her hair is like tight in a bun. She has a beautiful caftan on. So when you see that glimpse of her, I feel like there's another piece of the puzzle.
So then how would Christmas start? What would your first Christmas meal be?
It would be made up of what we had from hog butchering, which would have taken place a few days before. And hunting season would be in that time too. So we'd have pork from the pieces that wasn't salted down, such as spare ribs, liver pudding, hog jaw.
And greens?
And greens, of course. No meal is without greens.
And of course, John Hill's photos of her, which are iconic.
Of course.
She seems relaxed, but she also seems very much in tune to, I am working. These portraits are going to live beyond me, and they have.
Right, absolutely. Her story is so unconventional. When you think about leaving Freetown, Communist Party, Cafe Nicholson, Gage Tollner happens later in life, much later. It's almost larger than life when you really kind of look at her trajectory. And particularly as a Black woman, you don't often see, you know, it's not your standard kind of story.
And I wonder too, like, she had to be thinking about legacy. You don't keep writing cookbooks without that in your head. You don't go to restaurants like this and not think about legacy. Do I think she wanted money? Sure. But I also think that there is a bit of, I want to leave my mark, and this is the way I'm going to leave my mark. And I'm going to do it not one time, but I'm going to do it again and again and again. I'm going to leave my mark in Charleston. I'm going to leave it in downtown Brooklyn. Black women who aspired to be writers, chefs, or wanted to tell their story, like to be storytellers about where they were from. She left a blueprint for us, for sure.
Absolutely. The idea of a blueprint made sense to me. Thankfully, there's a much better understanding of what Black and Southern food is today, even if we have a ways to go. We need to celebrate Miss Lewis for laying that foundation. Much of Eating Together is about celebration, and Nicole's newest cookbook just so happens to be about Juneteenth, a holiday that commemorates the end of enslavement. In honor of that, we stopped by a Brooklyn cafe to get red drinks.
Thank you. Cheers to you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Then we head to Prospect Park, where Nicole hosted her first Juneteenth celebration. And she told me how Edna Lewis shaped her work.
What I'm reminded when I pick up an Edna Lewis book is she writes about home in a way that paints a picture.
Yeah.
You can smell everything, you can see everything. You want to go there.
Absolutely.
That was important for me to talk about celebrations, my personal celebrations, but also to help the reader go into their memory bank and think about their own celebrations. The first time that I started celebrating Juneteenth was more than a decade ago.
Wow.
I threw together, I wouldn't even say threw together, I planned. It was a lot of work. A Juneteenth picnic right here in Prospect Park. We had pork shoulder, cornbread, strawberry crumble. We had like a slaw on the side. The craziest thing is that I haven't been to this side of the park since that moment.
Really?
Yes. So actually coming back here is literally a sign.
Wow.
Just seeing the Juneteenth sign here and looking at the red, black, and green benches that we're sitting on, like it is literally a sign from the ancestors. Ancestors like Edna Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Ancestors in my immediate family saying, to keep going, to keep doing it. It's literally a sign.
Even after Miss Lewis retired from Gage and Tollner at age 75, she would return to the restaurant from time to time to cook for holidays and special events. She knew that celebrations weren't complete without a good meal. But perhaps more importantly, she knew that she was sharing the story of her ancestors, one plate at a time.